Hey guys, so according to the things that has been going on recently, obviously Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race, and today he just endorsed Joe Biden without getting anything in return, not even opposition within the Joe Biden supposedly presidential campaign for the general election. Obviously, most people's like, yeah, well, like Bernie to be VP at least, and not even that. We didn't even get Medicare for all. No climate change policies, no bold climate change policies, no plan to eradicate massive student death. But with that on mind, a lot of us have come to question, okay, now what now? Bernie Sanders considered that most people already start saying, no, you should vote for Joe Biden. And most people, obviously the world majority say, no, I'm not going to do the same thing that we did in 2016. He's gonna lose against Donald Trump and da 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 da. So this is this huge discussion or arguments that are being had of what we should do, what people should do. Should do that line, da da da. Da. But with that being said, I want to play a clip for all of us to see what this political analyst has says about the things that we do every 4 years when we decide to just vote for the best of the two evils, right? Or less of the
Yeah,
two evils.
yeah.
So let's just play the clip and we go from there.
Party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking. You must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go. If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for. If you don't show them you're capable.
So there you go. It's a 35-second clip. And that's basically what Lawrence O'Donnell has been clearly saying there. He worked for the Democratic Party, and based on his experience and based on what he was told and what he didn't never had to listen to those people that are like the outcasts, right? People who want to go far to the left, want to be more progressive. You don't have to listen to them because they're not the well majority. And second of all, they're losers. They always lose, so you don't have to lose to those kind of people. What I think,
Right.
when I think about this kind of, should we vote for Joe Biden or just no vote for anymore, or we should go with third party or something like that, based on this?
Um, so I think there's I'm going to address this, but then I'm also going to how much this works. My belief,
Go ahead.
but I'm gonna start with this. So politically, yeah, don't vote for him. Yeah, I mean because this is. Let's talk about why first, and then I'll go into the more general reason. Don't vote for him. If you keep voting for him, like I said, they're gonna have that same mentality. What else you gonna do? Where you gonna go? You know, you're gonna just keep doing the same thing. It's just like I said, it was the same mentality that Hillary Clinton had at 16. It's the same mentality that you see with Joe Biden now. I mean, I can't imagine another mentality that Joe Biden would be having right now if he thinks that it's an amazing progressive move to go from 65 to 60 for Medicare and like, okay, look, I did enough, right? Like that because they're thinking, look, you gonna vote for me or you gonna vote for Trump. So I would say, uh, it's like I tell people all the time, just go with what you believe. Don't believe all this argument about electability. Don't believe all this argument about things that don't matter. The only thing that matter is how the policy affects you. If the Democrats aren't your party, if they don't allow you politically, go with a party that does. And you may never see victory in your lifetime. But if you never change, if you never make the attempt to make the change, you're never going to see it. Uh, and now going into the more broader point of this, I think that's the sacrifice that has to be made, right? that's the sacrifice that kind of has to be made. And I say this as in not only politics term, but also in labor. The reason why a lot of these companies pay as little as they do is because a lot of people, they have bills to pay. I get it. They have bills to pay. They got mouths to feed. They got kids to take care of. But you have to think, in my opinion, you have to think about the long term. You have to think about is it worth getting $7, no, $8, $9, $10 an hour where you should be getting according to, if it kept up with inflation, if it kept up with productivity, you should be getting closer to $22 an hour minimum wage. And so labor is severely undervalued in this country because there's so many people with so many bills to pay that the labor says, hey, you don't want the $7? Okay, cool. Next. I don't care. Move on to the next one. You just throw them away, get another one, pay them the same amount. And so I believe that if you want, wages to go up, and you kind of saw it, like you have to be willing to walk off the job and quit. You have to be able to take that high turnover. And yeah, there's going to be problems, but yeah, you might not have mouths to feed. You might be able to have the money to pay the bills. You might not be able to feed your kids and such. And I know it's going to suck, but in the long term, you're going to be living a much better life, in my opinion. Because if they're able to just replace things over and over again, if they could box you in, because that's what they want to do, right? They want to box you in. If they could put pressure on labor, with outsourcing, no benefits, no money, they lower the standard. And then, before you know it, you go from a job with benefits and pensions to jobs that are all minimum wage, barely pay anything. And that's how they get away with it. And so I would say not only is O'Donnell right when it comes to not voting for them, and yeah, the consequences is that you may lose, but I think it also applies to labor. It's just that if you're not willing to walk away from these guys, then they're not going to give you what you deserve. Because I give you an example in California. I don't know if it's every other state as well, but in California, Taco Bell had an issue um, filling managerial roles because working at a fast food place is usually frowned upon in this society. People say, "Oh, it's a kid thing. You're not really supposed to work for fast food. It's a temporary job." And so, a lot of people who go to business, who are in business, they either try to start their own business. This is in California. Either try to start their own business, or they try to get a job with like a respectable firm that has nothing to do with fast food that's not corporate. As a result of that, in California at least, they started to raise the salary of a Taco Bell manager to like 100 grand, six figures now, right? You're making a lot. That's making more than a decent amount of technical roles like
Yeah.
programmers and such, just because there's not enough. Because fast food and retail in general, turnover is extremely high, and so they
Uh-huh.
pay a lot. They're starting to pay a lot of money just because there's pressure on them to try to fill the roles and they just don't have it. And so I think if you apply that same methodology to a lot, yes, you are going to lose in the short run. I tell you that right now. Like if you say that in the comment section, if you are getting ready to say that in the comment section, I know you will lose in the short term. But in the long term, you'll be much, much better off.
I totally agree. With that being said, I want to play another clip, and this is from, I guess, a Bernie Sanders supporter who kind of went out there and social media and kind of like reacted to this whole situation with Bernie Sanders endorsing Joe Biden and getting absolutely nothing in return. Let's play this. This is from, I guess, Papi Chulo. Let's see what he has to say about this.
You didn't get one policy. That's what Bernie Sanders did with his leverage. And then on top of it, he told you to go endorse this rapist war criminal. That's what happened today. So don't come around and tell me that, you're being mean to Bernie. Shut the fuck up, man. You know what's mean? Letting people die because they don't have health care. You know what's mean? Bombing my fucking country. What the fuck did Syria do to you, you fucking asshole? You know what's mean? Locking up blacks and Latinos. Not giving people a fucking living wage. That's what's mean, you motherfucker. So if you're okay with that, you go vote for Joe Biden, the fucking rapist. Meanwhile, the rest of the people with their brains switched on ain't gonna fucking do that. We're done. It's not just dem exit. Dem exit will not suffice because you've left the establishment in place intact. Rent strike, general strike. End of story. AOC and Ilhan Omar and the squad and Ro Khanna, who votes, against the BDS movement. And then Bernie Sanders, they're trying their best. Instead of Medicare for all, what are you going to get? Eligibility age down from 65 to 60. Wow. What about free college? Any debt cancellation? No. Fuck you. Just some crumbs. You didn't get a single policy concession from Joe Biden or the Democratic establishment. That's the problem. You let an entire movement hinge on one person and they cut the fucking head off of your movement. They left you with your pants down. And what did you get? Fuck all. It's time to wake up. Come on, get up. The capitalists, they ain't gonna give you no wages. They ain't gonna give you no health care. They ain't gonna stop bombing the brown people like this. It's go time. Come on. Don't let your movement hinge on one person. It doesn't work. FDR did the same fucking thing. History lesson. Go read your fucking history books. I'm not American. How do I know your history better than you? How do I understand your political system better than you? Why the fuck are you lacking? What did FDR do? He took the socialists. He took the communists. He talked the talk. He gave them the New Deal. He gave them the federal jobs program. And then he cut the fucking heads off of their movement. And he absorbed their leaders. And he crushed their movements for 100 years. You got nothing since. Nothing. All the wealth going to the top 1%. And you got shit. Even during the pandemic, what did they give you? Fucking scraps, crumbs of $1,200. That's how much they respect you. And then Bernie Sanders is like, Joe Biden is a friend of mine. Go vote for this rapist. Go vote for this war criminal. And you're defending that bullshit? You got no friends in Washington, D.C. Your enemy is laughing at you, and they ain't at Washington, D.C. They're at Wall Street. Wake up, asshole.
So there you have it, as Pepe Chulo reacting to. There's nothing funny about his reaction. It's just like he's using him, obviously.
It's correct.
But he's absolutely correct based on the facts when it comes to Bernie Sanders conciliating. We could argue how that came to be with Bernie Sanders and why he did it at the end. But at the end of the day, it's true. He really did not fight like he did in 2016. This could be because of multiple reasons, pandemic, the fact that he didn't want to seem like the guy who led that position to eventually lose against Donald Trump again. But this is also a post that I want to highlight. This comes from Secular Talks host Kyle Kalinske. He says, a handy voting guide for the general election. A vote for Trump equals a vote for Trump. A vote for Biden equals a vote for Biden. A vote for the Green Party equals a vote for the Green Party. A vote for no one equals a vote for no one. I hope this helps. Obviously, to just point out the fact that those people who like to make the argument that if you're not voting for Joe Biden, guess what? You're voting for the opposition, in this case, Donald Trump, or you're throwing away your vote. And in this case, actually helping Donald Trump at the end. So, do you agree with that assessment, Kenneth?
Wait, you say, do I agree with if you vote for Trump?
No,
I mean, if you don't vote for Biden?
Do you agree with what Kyle Kalinske is saying in this case?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because that's the thing, right? It's like, that's how you get the same stuff over and over again. It's like say you overthink it, right? You bring up all this other stuff that's irrelevant, and then you forget the goal. It's like he said in the video, I forgot his name already, but it's like he said in the video, right? It's like when what's it called? When Bernie said go vote for Biden, right? He didn't get anything, right? And it's mean to let, well, it's worse than mean, but it's mean to let people die. Like, that's the goal. And if you're gonna say, well, less people are gonna die, that's called kicking the can. Like, you kick the can when you say less people are gonna die. Oh well, I'll stop. Instead of 30,000 people die, I'll make it 25,000 people. That's not much better. No, it is better, but it's not much better, right? And when you do that, it makes it worse later down the line. In my opinion, I think it's worse later down the line because then people get complacent. Like, you saw what happened. Like, when people said, let's vote for Obamacare, right? what was they say? Oh, this is not perfect to get the progressive vote. It's not perfect, but it's a good first step. It's this, right? Then as soon as Bernie Sanders came along and said, let's take the next step, they're
Oh
like, why
yeah,
would you want to take the next
yeah,
step? We
yeah,
have Obamacare.
yeah. Which
Right.
is
It's
not
just
it's not
like
enough. Yeah.
right. And so it's just like that's what happens when you take half measures. People get complacent. You kind of or I think Elizabeth Warren actually before I even go to the next thing,
Yeah,
Elizabeth Warren, she was like, "Oh, we're gonna have like a phase-in plan, see how it works, and then we'll pass it again." It's like, why would you want to have that fight twice?
yeah,
If you know it's gonna be difficult, why would you want to have it once, struggle, and then hope it works the second time too?
yeah,
And then on top of that, it's like, oh, we'll do it after 4 years of trying to phase it in. We'll pass it a second time. AKA, when you reelect me a second time, then I'll make sure to get the full thing when I can't get reelected a third time.
yeah. There's
And
Obama
it's
like
just
that.
like right. And so it's just like one of those things where it's just like half measures get destroyed. Like you're not gonna save anyone in the long term because instead of it being like 30,000 people died this year, and then you pass Medicare for all because people decide to take a stand, and then zero people die the next day, you say, hey, I'd rather have 25 people die, and then 25 people die, and then 25 people die, and then you're at 75,000 people. So you had a worse outcome anyway. Because you see it right now with Obama. When he had the supermajority, if he had just passed Medicare for all the people who 60,000 people, not 60,000 people are unsure, but I think was it 35,000, 40,000 people who die every year from lack of healthcare insurance, right? Those people between 2008 and 2020, or I should say 2010 when it actually went into effect, I guess, and 2020 wouldn't have died. You see how that works? Like they wouldn't have died, so you wouldn't even have to worry about it anymore. You would have to then sacrifice the lives of another, 300,000 people, right? Just so you can say, hey, it did well enough. Right? It's like the point. Like it's
Yeah,
like the point. Like it's like missing the forest. It's like missing the forest through the trees, right? It's like the whole point is to make sure that no one dies of lack of healthcare insurance. If you take one step and then you say, hey, it's better than nothing, you may be right. But then adding up all the casualties over time will then make it worse than it would have been had you just fixed it in the first place. It's the same with climate change. They say, oh, well, Obama was better on climate change. Well, guess what? The scientists said, well, you have until, 2030? What's somewhere around
yeah.
there? 2030 before it starts to become
Libra.
irreversible.
Yeah,
Right. And so you have until 2030. And they even said, hey, what Obama did, it wasn't good enough. It was a nice first step, but it wasn't good enough. So you still got until 2030. So congratulations, Trump is not as good on the environment. So you have until 2030. And then Obama was better on the environment. So you still got until 2030. Again, was that half measure better? Like, no. It's the same outcome because the can was kicked for so long that you got nothing in the end anyway. So you're still right where you started. It's like, okay, cool. And even if you were to say, oh, it bought us 5 years, cool. 5 years of irreverse of time to reverse climate change, right? And then there's climate change at the end. So if you keep doing half measures, the Earth doesn't care if you are a Democrat or Republican is slightly better on it. Climate change is climate change. It's going to kill everything regardless, right? So it doesn't matter if you do half or full. I mean, it doesn't if you do half or nothing. If you still reach the end result to begin with, it doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
And that's the thing that people just don't understand. Who make that argument that well, it's better
Well,
than
it's better than
nothing. It's
nothing.
like not always. Like not
Yeah,
always.
yeah. And I don't understand why people do it. I understand where they're coming from, and I understand that the idea behind it. But let's be honest, we've been doing this since forever, and always when we do it, someone like Bush or someone like Donald Trump takes his place and just make us take 10 steps backwards, and then we have to go 5 steps forward, and it is so on and so on. So we just go into a never-ending cycle of doing nothing more than have the
Yeah, I mean,
measures that get you anywhere.
just look at how Trump attacked Obamacare. Right? They said they couldn't get rid of the law because it passed, right? But the Supreme Court struck down the tax, which means it could be in financial trouble one day, right? because you can't tax people who don't have health insurance. That's what the Supreme Court said, and you could end up with a whole host of other problems. If they just passed Medicare for all, then you wouldn't have to worry about that. You see what I'm saying? If they just passed it from day one, you wouldn't have to worry about that challenge to begin with. I mean, of course they're going to challenge it, of course, but they wouldn't have to worry about that specific challenge because they would have been like, "Hey, we're just using tax money for Medicare. There's nothing illegal with that." What was illegal was trying to tax certain people for not having Medicare because it was a half measure to try to force people to get it because they had to force people to get it because they didn't want to pass Medicare for all. You see how that worked? They had to tax people to try to force them to get the thing that was weak to begin with, and then
Yeah.
that tax got cut down. So that half measure got you somewhere really slowly, but is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be worth it when you have to fight this battle again? No,
No.
like it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. And in this case, when people are trying to make the decision whether if you vote third party or not, it comes to a case where you have to say enough is enough, and you have to stand up for you what you believe in. I mean, this is an individual choice. We're not telling you not to vote for the person who you want to vote or for who you think is better to vote for. We're just telling you, look, you cannot go out there and blame or bully people into what you think is best. You do what is best for you,
Right.
and also, don't feel guilty if someone is telling you that you're supporting the opposition because you're
Right.
actually not. Yeah, I mean, you are standing up for yourself for your own beliefs because those things actually matter, and it should start actually, being important for us because if we don't, then what's the case of having values in the first place? You get me?
Yeah.
If you're
I
gonna
mean,
break them.
yeah, exactly. Like going west, okay. So like, let's say you have to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. There are two types. There's the people who are making that argument, and exclusive to that argument, are saying that as long as you go west, you're fine. But if you go west into a dead end and have to turn around, is that better? Like no, like you still went west. Like they said, you still went west. But now that you hit the dead end, now you gotta turn back, go east, and then you gotta go back west again. So instead of actually solving the problem, you just wasted a lot of time, which is I think what that amounts to.
I completely agree with you on that, and I think people should not afraid to go out there and cast a vote for whoever they want to, and should not be afraid to stand up against the establishment itself,
Right.
whether if it's left or right, because we are at a point in time where we need that and more than before, and this is obviously something we have to overcome as a country and as the new generations are beginning to understand how shit works on a daily basis in Washington D.C. and who they actually care about the most instead of doing their job as congresswomen and men and
Exactly.
looking over for the American people as they should. But obviously that's not where we are at right now because we have money on politics, we got corporate interest above anything else, and if you want to make your voice heard, this is the best way possible. Just like always, you know what I mean? This is what you vote for, and this is why you stand up.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's your voice. You can put it to whatever you think it is. I mean, they could believe what they want to believe it, but we all know how this works. As soon as you vote for someone and that person wins, if they do something terrible, whose fault is it? Is it you voted for that person? No, it's always someone else's fault. It's like one of our teachers used to say when I was in middle school. It's like when they're winning, it's like we won. When you're losing, it's they lost.
Yeah, essentially that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
Yeah, they always like to put blame on anything else, everything besides themselves. Or they never like to question and say, "Oh, what went wrong? Let's try to figure out and understand the process of what happened." Nah. They're just like, "No, it's them. Fuck it. Let's continue."
exactly.
And they're gonna move on. And next what? Next election, where there's an opposition group with someone on top, and he gets to the place where Bernie Sanders got, and do the same thing. They do the same thing, which is destroy their movement, and they don't care if they lose the whole election for that, and they're gonna come out with the same freaking argument, which is vote blue no matter what, which is what we have now. And to be honest, that's quite disgusting and
Yeah.
just lack of democratic process, or there's lack of democracy in that. You get me? There's nothing democratic about that because people they're telling people what to do and how they should believe and how they should vote for. And if not, then guess what? You're gonna be blamed on. You're gonna be pointed out with
Right. I mean,
everything. So,
you take a look at some liberals said like Bill Barr. It's like, why can't we just have that kind of loyalty like in the Republican Party? It's like that's an authoritarian thought. Like
yeah, yeah.
no one who thinks about democracy is like, hey, why won't everyone just do the exact same thing all the time?
Hmm.
Like it's like no, like it's ridiculous. But that's the thing. Like a lot of people, because you even hear it now. Like you have yet the only people to not take responsibility for Hillary Clinton's loss is Hillary Clinton and her supporters. That's it.
Yeah.
It's everyone's fault except Hillary Clinton
Yeah,
and her
it's
supporters'
Russia's
fault.
fault. It's Bernie's fault. It's the
You're
third
gonna see
party.
the
It's
same
Jill
thing with
Stein.
Joe Biden. You see the same thing with Joe Biden. If he loses, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it was someone else's fault." No, it was your fault because you buried your head in the sand. You voted for someone that you didn't know anything about, or you didn't care to care. And then he lost because of those things, and then you want to say it's someone else's fault. No, you put up the candidate, you voted for him, you're the blame. That's how that works. It's not everyone else's fault because they chose to not do it, vote for you. It's not everyone else's fault because they thought he was a weak candidate. It's the people who put them in the position are the people that are responsible for that for them failing in that position.
Yeah, essentially that's what it has to come into. But obviously we have the mainstream media trying to brainwash people into thinking otherwise. It worked in 2016. Is why we are here. And unfortunately, as you said, it might be the same way. But I'm telling you guys not to fall for it again, and not to feel guilty about it if you do anything, whether if it's
Yeah, I mean that's why people say it's 2016 two version two because it feels exactly the same.
yeah, essentially
You
it's the
have
same
you
thing.
have, you have a Democratic establishment pushing one candidate forward. You have the Democratic media establishment just supporting part of the establishment, just bury their head in the sand, ignoring it, ignoring all the problems, ignoring all the issues, refusing to talk about it. And then Trump comes out, talks about all of it, throws it out, and they say, "Hey, man, Trump has no reason to talk," but that's not an excuse. Like just because Trump did just as bad things or worse things, it doesn't then excuse it. It was just like it was kind of like the argument that Hillary Clinton made in 2016, or people were making on her behalf, I should say, which is that all these male politicians get away with this stuff, and it's just like doing what she did, doing the corrupt deals, all that stuff, and you could tell there was just a lack of perspective there because the male politicians weren't getting away with it. No one likes them. Like, no one likes the male politicians. No one likes Hillary Clinton. The female politicians, the male politicians, everyone hates all of them. They were not popular in this country at all because of those corrupt decisions. Right? That's why Jeb Bush lost because everyone's like, "Screw this guy. We don't like him."
Yeah,
Like,
essentially.
but their head was so far up their own asses that they were just like, "Oh, it must have been sexism." I was
Yeah, it
like,
must
"Do
be
you see the
something else. It
poll?"
can't be us. It can be our administration. It can't be the party.
Right. I mean, even before Hillary Clinton was running, there was a point in time where Congress was less popular than cockroaches. Cockroaches. Like literally, people
Yeah.
were just like, "Hey, I'd rather have cockroaches than our Congress." There was actually a poll that I think I remember reading a long time ago, but they had, I think, a plurality of people in this country said they would support a military coup. A plurality of people in this country said instead of keeping our Congress, they would support a military coup in this country. And I'm just like, in 2016, Hillary Clinton's campaign and her supporters come out and say, "Oh, all the male politicians get away with it." I was like, "No, they don't. They don't get away with them. No one likes any of you guys.
Yeah.
You're all in the exact same
No.
position we hate all of you equally, exactly the same. You see Jeb, hate him. You see Marco Rubio, hate him too. Ted Cruz, hate him. Mitch McConnell, hate him. You had Hillary Clinton, hate her. Bill Clinton, most people started hating him. You had Elizabeth Warren is actually one of the most hated politicians in the country right now.
Yeah,
Like
she took the
people
place.
hated. Yeah, people hate all of you. Like no one liked any of you.
No.
Hillary Clinton was not uniquely unliked. It was just, hey, you're running for president. Fuck you. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, essentially. And here we are now with Joe Biden stuck with this piece of shit. But let us know what you think down below. What are you guys gonna planning to do? Are you gonna vote third party? Are you planning not to vote and just be part of the audience and see the whole fucking shenanigans go down? And are you planning to vote for Joe Biden and do the right thing? Let us know. Whatever. We're not gonna, judge you based on what you do. We
Just, I'm voting for a farm boy from Virginia.
who?
I'm
Mike
voting for
Pence.
a farm boy from Virginia.
Mike Pence.
Oh.
Is he from Virginia or Louisiana?
He's not either of them.
Wait, who's
Just in the video.
whatever. Whatever. So yeah, please comment down below. Please also make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. It helps us to continue to make content. Make sure to check out all the rest of the videos that we're gonna be coming out the next week. Thanks.
For the record, Mike, this is Louisiana.
Luciano? There
Indiana.
you go. Indiana? Oh, Luciana. I knew I heard something on there.
You said Anna. It looks like
I
Anna.
thought that was,
All right.
nigga from
Good
Indiana.
job. Did you know he was from Indiana? Say it in the description. Description. Say it in the comment section. Well, Ray, you should say it in the description.
I should point it out. I should put a highlight.
All right.
All right.
You guys.
All right.